Alright guys, what's up? Today we're just going to do a quick review on the 2020 Kink Gap. So let's get into it. Alright, so the Kink Gap comes in three different options essentially. It's going to come in a Kink Gap XL, a Kink Gap Free Coaster, and the normal Kink Gap. So the Kink Gap XL is going to be a 21-inch top tube, while the Kink Gap and the Gap Free Coaster is just a 20.5. So the Free Coaster is going to come in a black and red color, while the XL comes in like a burgundy and white color and also a black option. And then the normal one comes with a Gloss Rootbeer Fade and a Gloss Lavender Splatter. So altogether, those are a ton of different color options that you can choose from. Obviously, if you're a taller rider, you're going to want to get the 21-inch. And if you're a mid-level rider, you're going to want to get the 20.5-inch. If you want a free coaster, get the one with the free coaster. There's a size guide on my website. If you just check it out, I'll leave a link below. You can go and you just literally click on how tall you are, and it puts you down and tells you what size bike you need. Super helpful. Now this is what Kink says about the bike. The Gap is a versatile machine ready to handle anything you throw at it. Featuring modern geometry, the frame, forks, and bars add 4130 chromoly into the mix, and it's available in all the colors I mentioned. The components found on the Gap take things up a notch and are not to be missed. Not only will it look the part, the 9-inch grizzly bars, the striker forks, the bold HDR stem, sealed mission engaged cassette hub, Kink Ridge 3-piece cranks, and a bunch of other specs. It just talks about all the specs. But essentially, it says that the modern frame geometry brings a lower bottom bracket, raised standover height, and gives it a more stable ride. And that's good, you know, you don't want to have a real responsive bike if you're just starting out because it's going to be really hard to control. The Kink Gap specs are $379.99 price tag. And I'm pretty sure that that's for the XL and the free coaster version as well. Let me double check. Ooh, the free coaster is $399, so you pay an extra $20 for the free coaster version. Some of the important specs that it has are the Kink Grizzly 9-inch bars. Those are good aftermarket bars, full chromoly, 9-inch tall. The 9-inch tall bars give you a little more control over the bike because it essentially gives you more leverage. So there's more height there to pull it up and makes hops easier and a lot of other things. There's an article about that in my website. If you just look up BMX bar specs, it'll talk about that in depth. It has the Kink Sever tires, the Kink Bold HDR stem, Kink Ridge cranks. All those are slightly better than a lot of the beginner level bikes would come with. So that's definitely a good reason to buy the Gap, and especially because it's under $400. It's really affordable. Really easy to say, hey mom, can I get this bike? This guy says it's good. It's only $400. How about for my birthday? And your mom will say, yeah, of course. And then boom, you get into BMX. That's awesome, right? So let's talk about the frame geometry. Understanding the geometry of the frame is super important because you don't want to get the wrong bike and then not be able to control it. So the Kink Gap has a 20.5-inch top tube on the free coaster and the normal one. And again, this is just for medium-sized riders. It's got a 13.25-inch chainstay. It's average. And what this does is this allows you to have a good balance with control and responsiveness. So your bike's going to feel controlled, but also it's going to feel responsive, if that makes any sense. It's not extreme one way or another. It's got a 75-degree head tube angle. It's a good average head tube angle. A 9-inch standover height, which is pretty tall. That gives you a lot of room to pinch the seat for bar spins or have control with toboggans and things like that. It's going to make tail ups just a little bit harder, but for this bike, I wouldn't say that that's the right level to be doing these tricks on. And it weighs 26.13 pounds. And in my opinion, that's pretty light actually, compared to other mid to beginner level bikes. It's a good weight. Some frequently asked questions are, is it worth the price? Now, in my opinion, for under $400, this is a really good price. The tricks that you can do with this bike, I'd say, are things like a 180, small 360s, X-up rides, bunny hops, half cabs, bar spins, a lot of beginner level tricks. Just because the frame is only tri-moly, and what that means is that the front triangle's chromoly and the back end's high tensile steel, and that essentially makes the bike, the back end bend as you learn spins. So if you start doing huge 360s, your back end's going to bend out like that. And that's no fun. So keep it minimal and work your way up to the bigger tricks with a different bike, a higher quality bike. Some of the bad things about this bike, the only real good aftermarket parts on it are the stem and the bars. Everything else is kind of a lower level, entry level bike part. Now that doesn't mean it's bad quality, because it's good. For a mid-level bike, it's really good. It's just not, it doesn't have a full package of pro level parts, which is obviously why it's $400. If it did have a pro package, it'd be $800-900. Those are really the only bad things about the bike. Now this bike, I'd say it's for a rider who has been maybe riding for a year on a really low quality bike. They're at the point where they're breaking this bike and they're starting to learn more tricks. So therefore, they want to get a little better bike and step up the quality. In the same sense, they're not at a level of riding where BMX is a real serious thing. Because if you're at that level where it's super serious, you want to spend $800 on a complete bike. If you're just kind of testing it out, you're riding with friends, you're not sure if this is something you're going to stick around with, this is the bike for you, because you don't want to spend a ton of money on a bike that you're going to end up selling. Now, I really hope that this review gave you guys some good information about the 2020 Kink Gap. If you want a little more in-depth version, I have a full review on my website. You can read through it. It talks about some things that I didn't necessarily touch on in this video. And there's a playlist somewhere around here that has all the complete reviews I've done so far. I'm also always working on new complete reviews, so if you want to see more, subscribe and get notified as soon as a new one comes out. Thanks.